And John Calipari absolutely slammed talk of expanding the NCAA tournament. There's been talk of as many as 90 teams could make the tournament. This, much like when Mike Hamilton called me and said, "Hey, would you be interested in an exclusive interview?" And we talked about Philip Fulmer's job security, is a floating balloon that the NCAA leaked out to see how fans would respond. I don't know about you, but it's been overwhelmingly bad that nobody wants to see this tournament expanded. Caleb, do you?
No, I think this is a stupid idea, and this is the concept of messing. And John Calipari said it. He said, "Don't mess with a good thing." This is happening all over sports in America, and it's this.
Got to get bigger. Got to make more money. Can I give you a quick
bigger.
example? The Dodgers playing in Korea was a regular season game on Monday at 3 a.m. Then they go back to spring training, and then they play another regular season game. This is what NASCAR did. You're right. Don't screw this up. And usually I'm all for more elimination games. You and I have differed on that before, but 64 is fine. 68. 68 is fine. Yeah. It doesn't need to be bigger than that.
I thought 60. I don't like the 68. I thought it was fine with the 65. I didn't like the 68
agree.
When they got. Yeah. No, this is a big problem to me. And this is a way. Here's what they do. This is the truth. Dave, everything in America is done in terms of the immediate result without thinking long term. So you expand a playoff, what happens? You're going to make immediate money just like that, right? But you don't think about the long-term health of the sport when you do it. And this is happening in this did happen in NASCAR. It's happening in college football, we'll get to, but they're trying to have it happen to college basketball. They won 80 teams. By the way, this is a direct shot at Greg Sankey, who wanted more at-large bids for power conferences when he said it last week in the NCAA tournament. They want as many as they can because of the money they make in March. Now, we can sit there and say the regular season is going to be devalued by this. They're going to come, basically what they aren't telling you, but that is in their mind, they don't care about the regular season. March is the only thing that makes them money in college basketball. And so they're going to go to 80. And, you speed through an ice field. You may not hit an iceberg immediately, but you're going to hit an iceberg.
Eventually, it's going to happen.
Yeah, so what's happening is this. They're in a rush to expand it. Oh, it's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. More teams, excitement, yay! And then eventually, though, you are going to lose fans long-term because you go to Tennessee, you go to a big school. Let's say, Dave, it's a Saturday. You're in your dorm. Basketball game, you're like, you and your friends, like, what are we going to do today? Let's go to the basketball game. Nowadays, go to get drunk, go to the basketball game, get rowdy, right?
You don't have to get drunk to go to every sporting event.
But you know what? Here's what's going to happen, though. 20 years down the road, the young college kids that are in college then, they're going to say, why do we need to go to this home regular season basketball game? We know we'll just wait till they play in the tournament. We'll watch that. We know they're going to be in it. So let's just go get drunk and go down to the strip and party there. That's what's going to start happening.
Yeah, if I'm individual schools, I hadn't thought about it from that angle. I don't like it because it could be tougher to get people in the seats for regular season games. And listen, if there's any one sport that should do everything they can not to de-emphasize their regular season, it's probably college basketball and baseball. Major League Baseball. Those are probably the 1 and 2 sports that you say your regular season doesn't mean enough.
Yes, exactly. Baseball has screwed it up really. Well, the NBA too. The NBA regular season doesn't mean enough, but I think we let the NBA go for that because the playoffs is a season within the season, isn't it? That's like a season on its own. The NBA playoffs.
Yes, and I think we give the NBA pass honestly because they're such elite athletes. It's pretty darn fun to watch. I mean, top to bottom, more than football, more than any other sport, the greatest athletes are in the NBA, in my opinion, more than Major League Baseball or hockey or anything else.
Well, yeah, it's the most elite league in professional sports because basketball is the second most played sport in the world, and the NBA has the fewest roster spots of any sport. So just the number of people competing is going to give you the most elite players. But yeah, so we give that a pass. But like baseball, it's funny. You're right. They go to they have 12 teams now in the MLB playoffs. Baseball forgets that their moneymaker is the summer when people are off school, when they can go to these little 3-game series road trips to go to baseball games. And you're devaluing all of that for a regular season, for an expanded playoff in November when people are watching football. They're doing the same thing NASCAR did. They're doing the exact same thing. And NASCAR literally killed itself doing it. College basketball is going to go the same route if they make Duke UNC. I already don't care about. Okay. If you go to 80 teams, I'm really not going to care about it.
No, I'm with you. Can I offer you this? Would you even accept this as, let's say, a halfway point? You take the 16 lowest conference winners. In other words, those teams that are getting into the tournament because they got hot, like St. Peter's to some extent, and won their tournament, would not have gotten in otherwise, and have a mini tournament. You have 16 teams, and you get down to 4 or 2 that actually make a round of 64. So you would have an extra week of basketball among those teams, not the ones that need to play for the regular season. I just thought of that. I'm just throwing that at you. If you think it's stupid, I might agree with you in about 5 minutes.
The problem is if you have a round of 64 with just 2 teams from the lower conferences, that means you have 62 teams from power conferences that got in, which is basically an auto bid for every single team in a power conference. What's the point of the regular season at that point?
Well, you could adjust the numbers. So let's say a 16
round of 32, maybe
you go to 32 and you have the play-in. You call it a separate play-in tournament because there's something special about the first day of the tournament at noon. So if you said it was a play-in tournament, I'm trying to find ways of pitching this to you where you would like it and I would like it. And so far, I'm failing miserably, but I thought I would try.
Okay, here's how you could actually win me over if you go to 80. I'll give you a way you could win me over, funny enough.
Interesting.
I don't care how good the conference is. I don't care how bad the conference is. 2 auto bids per conference. Now, hear me out. There's 34 conferences. You ready for this, Dave?
Yes.
The regular season champion of your conference and the tournament champion of your conference both get auto bids.
Okay. I'm cool with that.
Yes.
And you would actually expand it. So you would expand it under that scenario. Do people like that on the message board? Because that's a pretty good idea that if you win the regular season, you get, I mean, as a matter of fact, why have we not made that change already? Forget about expansion. Let's talk about that for a second. How much would that change things if you won the regular season, you have an automatic bid? Boom.
That would change things significantly. Yeah. So you win the regular season, you get an automatic bid. So that way, and you win your tournament, you get an automatic bid. So every conference has 2 teams in. Now, if you win both the regular season and here's the thing. The numbers would change every year because there would be teams that win both, right?
Yes.
And if you're a bubble team, you don't know how many at-large bids will be available in a given year because you don't know how many teams are going to actually win both. So there's so much. All of a sudden, if you're a bubble team, you're watching those smaller conference tournaments because you want to make sure that the team that won its regular season also wins the tournament.
Great comment on the message board. 90 teams, double or triple elimination. That just kind of accentuates how silly this whole concept is, right?
Yes, because eventually, too, and here's the other big point. I just talked about load management in the SEC tournament, which Rick Barnes clearly did. You go to 80 teams or 96 teams and you realize the tournament is now 7 games. You have to win 7 instead of 6. Dave, load management becomes much more important in the regular season in basketball then, right? Because you really got to rest your players for tournament time or else you're not winning it.
Absolutely. I've got zero argument with that, even though I know it pains some to agree with John Calipari. That is certainly the case.